Okay. Here's another usual cold start for the Please Feel Free podcast. And welcome for another episode. I'm your host, Kevin Soldo. You have a co-host here,
Taylor Palmer.
Yeah, and this week's guest, we have a special guest. We have someone who makes waves digitally. I enjoy him, man. He's a very big social presence to me. Please welcome to the show, Brendan.
Yes.
Do you want me? I don't want to give your last name out of respect.
Don't worry. Yeah,
AKA
cool.
Cosmic Flame.
But yeah, AKA Cosmic Flame on Instagram.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Man, thank you. I'm glad that we were able to line this up because it's been. I've been wanting to do this for a while, man.
And it's hard as a creative when you go into those flows. It's like obviously want to make this happen as soon as possible, but you're like, my mind is flowing right now, and I have to get all this information out, like in any way possible. And
man,
so you fall into that, right?
I really like your work. See, I detach from a lot of that. I stay away from that because I know how much time it takes, and I'm always cautious to give that amount of time to it. Because you're a whiz online, man. Like just the way you craft ideas, the way you're able to get things out, I really admire it. Like I always had this thought where like I have this idea where I could be the perfect therapist if instead of prescribing medicine, you could prescribe movies.
Right, that'd be excellent, wouldn't it?
Do you know what I mean? Where
Yes.
like, but not on some shitty like Siskel and Ebert shit where I'm just a critic. Where it's like, man, go check this film out. Come back to me, almost like a book club, I guess. But you're doing it with movies.
Right. I find like you take a lot of these lessons from traumas, from psychedelics, and you turn it into something. That's what a lot of my ideas come from, the true surfing and stuff. It's like a lot of it has to do with trauma and things from my past and what shaped my character to this day. And like Wonder Woman says, like, you don't see what you're going through until you come out the other side. I'm like, oh, no shit. Like I finally get to the point where I'm creating all this ridiculous action stuff. No one understands what the fuck I'm doing whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it now. It's like you literally came out the other side of the rabbit hole. Like after all of this conspiracy crap and all of this stuff, you finally see what's holding people back and what's not holding people back. It's like I see your path. I see people understand why I look the way I do because I see that I'm inspired by Travis Scott or whatnot, and I see his path, how his path went, and his path was like almost like parallel with mine.
Yeah, wow. I think, and it's important to draw on that inspiration too. Because I think that's the other thing. Because I still see you as you. Right. I don't look at you and you're like, oh man, this guy would be a good Travis impersonator. Right. It's just like you still have your uniqueness. You have you.
Right.
Have
my music doesn't sound like his or anything along those lines. Anything to do with it, I try to be myself 100% along the way. You draw inspiration from everybody. Take it from Will Smith. Take it from Muhammad Ali. You name the person. Everybody on earth is, if you sit down with them for 5 minutes, you could take something from them. And like also my page is also inspired by like the New York guy. Remember the guy from New York? You'd go around and do photography and just take a picture of
people of New York or something.
Yeah, take a picture of a person from like a stranger and then have like a caption what they would say, and it was so wise. I'm like, that's genius. If I could like run with that throughout my whole page and keep going with this with their ayahuasca trips, whether they're celebrities or not, because people do follow stars, whether they like it or not. They follow stars because those people have done something to shine out of the crazy darkness that we're going through right now.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And stars follow us. That's the interesting thing, man. There's that breakdown has shifted too. Like I remember growing up watching television, the idea of connecting with a star seemed impossible. You write them a fan letter or something, and it maybe goes in those big bags in the mail room, and maybe they get it of the millions of letters that get sent, right? So it's interesting to see that disconnect, because like you can put something out that very quickly catches the eye of somebody that maybe on normal.
I think that still goes over my head. Some of my videos, like I just posted 5 days ago, has over 32,000 views, and I just it doesn't sink in. And I'm not
Yeah.
boasting about it whatsoever. It's not something to be like, it's something to be proud about, obviously, but it's like I went through absolute fucking hell to get to like what I'm doing and all this stuff, and people obviously want to pitch their promotions or have me do creative stuff for them for like, for like, do you know how much I've fucking been through?
Right. Yeah, this
like,
is all personal.
Yeah,
this
it's like
isn't
this everything is personal.
It's like an
Everything-
art portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more of that than it is, hey,
And I
buy
think-
this
yeah.
soft drink.
And you have to have if your passion, obviously, you're following your passion, it's personal. And
Yeah.
the people, whether they offend you or not, it's like you're using that fire within you to like still try to inspire people, no matter what they say to you, no matter how they take it, their cognitive dissonance, whatever it is. It's like no matter what, it's always love, man. And like, 'cause if I could get through, I'm going to try my hardest to get through to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you ever feel the need for like? Do you ever think that it's not the answer? Like, you ever think you can kill a demon with love, or do you think sometimes you have to slay a demon?
Well, of course, you got to wear your armor and like have your metaphysical armor and your shield, whatever your dual guns with your duality. Of course, there is that type of vibe that I carry with me all the time.
Yeah. How do you find time for all of it? Like you mentioned just before we started, you mentioned how you meditated today for 6 hours.
Yeah, and
Do you-
always
do you-
fit those videos or whatever I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
do you do that every single day? Like, are you very
Yes,
disciplined
I
with
think
it?
I've been doing this just playtime from your, like when you're 3 years old, you're playing with your action figures or whatnot, and 10 hours pass, and your brother comes into the playroom or whatnot, and he's like, "It's Halloween right now. Come downstairs. It's Halloween this second. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just in my own world. Like, okay.
Yeah,
I guess.
you're detached from the
Yeah.
calendar.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of just that, and then you realize, and you start learning about meditation and what you've been doing your whole life, and you've been in that like theta state or whatever it may be of that frequency.
So is it too far off from a daydream? Are you
No, it's
daydreaming?
not too far
It's
off from
almost
that.
the same thing. Yeah. Because I miss that too, man. I miss being able to have the time almost to totally. I feel like there's always someone trying to get you to do something or whatever, just to not let you just chill. Like, because on top of 6 hours of meditation, do you get sleep?
Yeah, I try to fit it in.
You still sleep?
I try to fit it, not during those 6 hours, but yeah, I try to fit it in during night or however I can.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So, yeah,
how
how do
long do you take, like, do you watch footage before you find something, or like, are you like, is it just like from your, I know a video that I really like?
from my that's a very good question. I think after I did psychedelics, like my subconscious mind was like, it was a monster that was unlocked. And it's like through that, your mind just, through your psychedelic trip, whatever you go through, and you just see everything you've ever experienced and all the wisdom from all these different voices and all these things happening.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm schizophrenic. There's something going on here. There's like, there's on this trip. There's something on this trip that's this is happening. And I'm like, okay, if I could take all of those scenes that I just had in my head and somehow incorporate that into a video, into like a compilation of truth of the message that I am trying to get across. If they understand it, good. If they can't, then I'm going to keep banging these videos out.
Yeah.
You're almost like you're like a digital DJ.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's almost because
Sampling
there's
videos.
because there's no real way to do it. Like you know what I mean? Nobody's ever really laid that path out, but it's always like you're so on point with it. You're almost like
You followed like the route of like robot chicken or something along those lines, where it's where it's just skit cut.
Yes.
cut,
Yeah.
next part,
Yes.
next part, and it's has to be consistent. It has to like play off of each other.
yeah. It's like you put it beautifully with true surfing, like because it's like you're just changing the channel
Right.
And all
so
you're getting
often,
is
and you're
truth,
just getting the
Yeah.
television telling you
It's
the
like
good
Instead
shit.
of like
see
commercial
life, you see
lies.
life
Yeah.
differently through
Yes,
my
yes.
lens, my perspective. And
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
you eventually, as a creator of this show that's a hashtag, I think you disassociate with what's actually happening, and you don't pay attention to the views or anything. You just keep banging out stuff. You don't pay attention to the comments. You don't really care about your presence.
course,
your ego
of course.
has nothing to do with it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like you ride that ego wherever it takes you. It's like wherever you go, like just ride your passion.
Yeah, exactly. It's like not imagining an outcome or not having an outcome, and just riding wherever it takes you, whatever path it wants to go.
Yeah, that's a very profound way to put it, man. That's I like that. Because I always hate giving into it. I really dislike the social world. I use it clearly, but I hate the idea of giving to it. Because like you, for example, I feel like you deserve a much bigger viewership, but you also have 15,000 views on it, which it's like those are real eyes, man. You know, that's in the day of viewership. If we go back to like we're in the 60s now or some shit, those are big numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're probably putting out like
yeah, for sure. I'm probably getting a show.
Yeah, like there's good nights you're probably doing. That's like Johnny Carson numbers or something. Right. You know what I mean? It's very interesting.
It'd be very interesting for sure. It's very intriguing to look at the insight of these things. After like I turn off the insights on purpose. I switch my account to personal because I don't want anything to do with the numbers at times. Mm-hmm. It's like just focus, lock in, like don't even think about it, and just keep keep doing what you're doing. Like stay focused with the frequencies.
You almost go in the hole. Yeah. You go in the basement.
You stay locked
crawl
in.
out. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool, man.
And people are saying, like, why would you do this to yourself? Why would you, like my friends and everybody's like, why are you locking yourself up in your basement? Why are you isolating yourself for all these years? Why aren't you working like a normal job? Why are you this person? And I'm just like, listen, like, you have to walk it. Like, I can't just keep showing you Matrix videos and Hunger Game videos. And, like, I can't. You have to actually walk the path.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. You have to be the example.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it means nothing. It's just another...
That's a really good way to put it, too. That's a great way to put it. Because it's true, man. It's hard to explain. It's hard to articulate it to people because you've seen so much. You've been so many places. You have a real grasp of things. And to articulate it to someone that, just works a 9 to 5. I've been in those lives as well.
And it's interesting when you try to go back into it after you realize you do have a soul. When you realize you have, and this is a big part of who I am, my essence is going to this dark side of things, of the opposite, of the resistance, of the 9 to 5 end, of this like indoctrination that we've been hit with, and how we can reverse engineer and follow our passions and whatever that may be. And like through all of this, you meet the coolest people, like Rashad Evans or like Rose Namajunas, these UFC fighters, or like, what did you see in me that you saw in yourself? And like, oh, wait a second, it's the exact same thing I've been doing every single post. It's the exact same thing. It's like, oh, it's within us. It's like, do you get it? Next post. It's within us. Okay, next post. It's like, I call it cosmic flame. Some people call it chi. Some people call it something else. It's literally the exact same thing. And when you go to these people that are completely opposite of this 9 to 5, I mean, when they're completely against the resistance of that and like, no, I'm supporting this 9 to 5 life. Like they look at you as a threat. And we normally travel alone, like jaguars or spiders or something along those lines. And you're obviously just going to be attacked. And when you go back into the interviews, when you have a soul or whatnot, they don't want you. Same thing with the girl. It's like you're being interviewed on a Tinder date or something. It's like the girl doesn't want anything to do with you if you have a soul. And I'm like, why? What's going on? What's this world about? And you start seeing it's like, okay, you want me to just be a good provider, you want me to be making $100,000 a year, you want me to be doing this, that's all you care about. It has nothing to do with my personality, it has nothing to do with my soul, it has nothing to do with my creative geniusness. I know you're not supposed to even like mention that about yourself, but there comes a time where you'll say like, I broke out. And like I used to be like a visual effects artist around the corner from here, and I'm like, I'm so boxed in. Like,
what do you mean, office gig?
Yeah,
doing
like
visual effects?
agency. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
like and digital editing and stuff?
Film?
Like computer, for commercials, advertising of all things.
Oh, nice. That's what I used to be in too.
That's the hell
it's the
gig,
worst,
man. That's hell itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Satan's little helper.
You're seeing the taint of the beast.
In words of Bill Hicks says that,
Yeah.
It's the worst, man. Yeah. It's
soul sucking.
I think that is very profound too. Like I did both sides of the lens, and it was very interesting to see people on, depending on which perspective you're on, because they treat you very differently, and it's a very interesting industry, man, especially when the whole gig is just to try to sell you shit. It's very
I wasn't supporting some of the things that we were doing. We're like, how can we make this McDonald's commercial look more organic? I'm like, Brandon, look, you're working on a McDonald's. I'm like, do you like listen to your soul for once in your life?
I know.
Listen to your soul for once in your life, and don't drink at 6 p.m. with these people that are taking the clients' alcohol, like really what it is. And they're just drinking at 6 p.m. instead of having that meeting and giving them or whatever. I'm just like, I get it. I get why you guys are all like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the office is the exact same.
Yeah. And they'll only take. See, that's what makes sense about everything too. Like when you look at anything, they'll only take you if you play by the rules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You can't push back on anything, and then they'll go, "Oh yeah, no, I like his gung ho attitude." They don't.
Right.
It's always like, are you with it?
Yeah.
Are you down with these very peculiar things?
Cookie cutter type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, and just to try to
And
get
straight up lying
on
and
those,
tricking.
when we talk vibration, that's the shit that drives me wild with the social media, the
lower
digital
frequencies.
stuff. Yeah, is legit the frequencies they put out. You know, I've harped on this stuff for so long, like just with cell phones and shit. Since back in the day, it was always you keep it too close to your head, it'll fucking give you brain cancer. Like that's always been a thing, and we just kind of stopped paying attention to it. We just end up getting it, we're right in our face, 2 inches from
with
our
the
eyeballs.
monitors and stuff.
Yeah,
and like the TV, we're playing Sega,
Man.
or I remember playing like Echo or something on like Sega. They're like, don't sit next to your TV. And it's just like, why? And then you find out what was actually going on.
yeah.
And how it affects your nerve system, and how video games are doing this to us. Like I play Call of Duty and stuff, and
you're a whiz with it too, man. I see some of the.
I analyze my work and my personality and my mood after. I'm like, you literally become out a universal soldier. They're training.
Yes,
it's a
dude.
simulation,
Yeah.
and it's like I'm not here to have a conspiracy talk about this. It's literally like,
man, please feel free.
The U.S. government makes games like this.
Yeah,
Right.
you know what?
So-
I
to
put the-
desensitize us.
Yeah, I put the controller down on an Xbox. That used to be my favorite. I put the controller down on an Xbox when it really hit me because I loved Call of Duty too, man. That was my number one game. It took me forever to realize the Sega controllers are gun triggers.
Yeah.
Like the ergonomics to it
Right.
is like you're holding a Glock. There's no
Yeah.
difference, and then you play back those memories of like how often my hands have been like this, how often you've
been in the dual hands.
man, and you've pulled the trigger
and it's
times,
like almost
man.
setting us up to be sleeper agents, and it's very dangerous. And
Yeah.
I think that my videos point to that, and it's very scary in a sense of when people look at some of my stuff, they're like, you are completely insane. You are going down that robbery heist lifestyle. I'm like, no, I'm not. Just because I portray that through my art, and it's a feeling I want to be Robin Hood at times. Of course. I think
he's
everybody,
awesome.
it crosses everybody's mind to be like, you know what? I think the government's money should be shared upon people. Like,
Man, those things in general, the Robin Hood mentality, I strongly believe in that too, man. I'm a big supporter of that because I think those are some of the stories that made it through time that have always laid that foundation out of like, man, you got to play the game a little different. You got to, man. You got to...
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to flip it because
like you follow the rules, like you're never.
No, man.
Get ahead.
What do you do, man? And then what? The sheriff of Nottingham shows up on your door to collect taxes, and you don't have it. He boots you out your house. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the sheriff who protects the king, the mayor, the whatever you want to call it.
The world is very
right?
interesting.
Yeah.
When you talk
And
about
the more-
kings and
Yeah.
when you talk about one religion, one king, one thing, why people conform specifically to that, because it's like, look, you have a full kingdom, a full empire to your name. If you Viking or whoever you are, or you're willing to convert to
they don't give you a lot of
our
options.
religion. Yeah.
It's our religion or
sword, or you're getting killed.
Yeah, man. But that's the beautiful part about it too, the Robin Hood mentality of like, somebody's got to fucking fight with this shit a little bit, man.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to have a little bit of fun with it, joke around with it, get a bunch of merry men. You know, like even in the breakdown of the word, it was just happy dudes.
Right.
Like those were the bad guys. The bad guys were the guys that were just kicking it happy.
Yeah.
You know, not playing by the same rules. It's interesting.
It's almost like the crazier it gets outside. You know, it's getting crazier and crazier. Like we just saw a flyer in Whitby that was like, now it's training, it's sensitivity training for teachers to accept, it's like the LGBT, but then it goes into pedophilia. And it actually says that, and that's in Whitby teachers training. So it just seems like the crazier the outside world is getting, it needs an even as intense counterpart to that. So it's like, oh, we're going crazy. It's like, well, everything's going crazy. Like we need.
I think the world understands that, and you want to pitch this idea to like an investor or something. You want to stand up as like Katniss or something with your armor on and be like, listen, this is what has to happen. The world has to go this way. There's no other. So the reason I'm here is because there has to be a resistance. There has to be. There's no way that this is going. We're just going to fall into this way of thinking and way of living. It's been expired since. I don't even know how long. Before I've been alive, it's been expired, and I don't know why they've still followed this way of living.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
of
Needs to die.
You said it too, though, man. It's like we're legit talking though. You're talking the central nervous system, and you're talking frequencies. And if you can buzz people at a certain frequency, there's a there.
You got them. You got them. But on both sides, you got them. That's what I'm thinking as cosmic flame on that side. I'm like, I could actually, from what everyone's been through, all these spiritual awakenings, if you could guide some people along the way, that'd be pretty cool. And I think through frequency, frequency is a big part of that.
Okay, so if there was nothing, if you could pull it all back right from scratch, what would your ideal thing be? Like, what would you want to be? What would you want to leave?
Type of thing?
No. Fuck that stuff. Like, just on you. Like, what would you want to leave behind? Would you want to go down? Like, I would consider you an artist in general.
I'd like an amusement park, and the same thing Walt did.
You would do an amusement park?
Yeah, I'd do it up.
Like MJ Neverland Ranch type shit?
Minus the controversy, yeah.
I think the better of a person you are, the controversy.
Yeah, you're gonna face. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
Jesus dude got crucified, like straight up, and same story.
I know,
and
you have to
just
have
a dude
really
going around.
thick armor, and like really strong, like a really good offense. Like you can't just be in defense all the time as a person that's like on my side of things. It's like you have to see, like, at one point I was just like completely, no, you guys are wrong. No, the earth is flat, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you have to exercise the thought of why they think it's a globe. And you have to say, like, come together with some type of agreement with each other. You can't just be like, no, it's this way. That's the only way it is. It's like, it's a subjective truth. Like, you haven't been outside. We don't fucking know.
None of us really know. Right. Yeah.
But then again, but what about when you are able to pop out too? Like now somebody is capable of doing outer body. Somebody is capable of going higher and higher through natural ways, natural methods.
That's also subjective because other people have seen different things through their experiences.
That's very true. And maybe it just forms into whatever your idea of it is.
Yeah,
right?
It's like based on your subconscious.
Exactly. If we're creating it after all, who knows?
And it goes to show how strong your subconscious is that it's able to map out your entire outside of your place. Yeah. It's unbelievable that your mind's able to do that.
Yeah.
It is. Holy shit.
I think sometimes everybody's in on it. Sometimes I have a theory that spiders are life's tripwire. Like when you walk through a spider web, it's like it sets the alarm off of going play life in this direction.
All right.
Do you know what I mean?
Almost as if like traffic's loading times.
Yeah, like because you can't get.
I like that way of thinking.
Like almost like you can't get out of the game, right? So the game's got a tab on you, even if you know what I mean. You're trying to.
That's interesting.
Because it feels that way every time you walk through a spider web. You're like, "Fuck, somebody knows I'm here." Right. You know what I mean? It's not. You've set the alarm off.
Spiders are interesting. I find that very interesting. Like just in general, how like you attack a spider and you know that the spider's actually trying to do good in your area or in your.
I try to never kill him anymore, man.
And I start looking at that the same way I look at revolutionaries. Like they're not warriors, and people are not wanted until the threat's on their doorstep. And that was like an African proverb, and I was like, it's so profound. It's to look at it the way once you walk it. Right. It's like once you actually have your armor on and stuff, it's like, where's my family? Where are you? It's like, I forget this rap song. It's like, where are you when I'm shooting in the gym? Like, where are you when I'm training? Where are you when I'm like going this hard? When I'm doing all these things? Why are you only? Do you not like these people that are like are your family or supposed to be your supporters or your friends or your like people you've known your whole life?
Mm-hmm.
You expect them to be your supporters, but based on the information that you're giving out, it's like, I want nothing to do with this person. This person has a soul. Which it goes back to that. It's like, are you serious? This is what it comes back to. All goes back to, are you supporting the Matrix or not? Are you actually on this side of the fence or on that side of the fence? And there actually is two sides.
Yeah.
And I think it's really disappointing when people find out that I cut them off or they cut me off. Because then they realize with themselves that they hate themselves. It's not even like
it's
like
the
I know
projection.
Kanye West says. I like that you're wearing a Kanye hoodie.
Yeah.
Like Kanye says, like, there's no way you could hate my music. It means you hate your like. There's no way. There's no way. It makes no sense.
Yes, exactly.
I agree.
There's no
especially
hate
with
to
his
it.
with
It's
his
love.
most recent stuff. Like I think I agree with that. I think it's
Yeah.
impossible to really to say anything negative about it. You go, all right, man, you're on something.
He's
because
100%
he's
delusional,
not.
but in that delusion, he's not illusional like everybody else around him. Everybody, it's like, so what you did was you stayed delusional while everybody else is still within this hypnotic state. And you're saying that you're going to write these Matrix books and come up with Matrix-looking clothing, and not even mention the Matrix like until you say like, I'm coming up with a book on how to do this with the Matrix or something. It's like, so your whole philosophy and mindset has always been in this way of thinking, and people are like, no, he sold his soul. What do people do every single day if they have a 9 to 5 or they're working 40 hours? It's soul sucking.
That's
a
great way.
You have to,
Yeah.
you have to like actually think about it. It's like, is this soul sucking? Like, look yourself in the mirror. It's like, do you have a soul? It's like things
And
like
see,
that.
it's the words, man. I'm so big on words. It's those phrases. It's those cliche phrases you toss around with no thought to it, and just go like, "My job is soul sucking," and you go, "Man, it is. It really sucks your fucking soul." And then what are you left with when you're soulless and done? You're left with this. I think ultimately
You're
you're
just
left with a life
a
of
broken
regret.
avatar, too.
Yeah.
It's
You
like,
played the
what is
game
this
wrong.
avatar that I have that's not even, doesn't even look like me? It's just what my mom and what my dad and what my brother and what my boss and what my coworkers and girlfriend want me to like to be, look like. Or
Are you able to see that? I find I find it gets better now. The more you live, the more you see things, where you can almost break someone down on their trauma. Like they have their trauma on their sleeve, and the stuff that they do, you're like, I get why this person is doing this, even if it's someone you've never met. Like
Yes.
you ever
it's like there's a reason I'm exposing pedophiles, or the reason I'm doing the things I'm doing. 150%. And I'm open to talk about these things. It's like these are things that you realize in your most like traumatic experiences, that it's like, I have to help people that are going through similar experiences, or that have you know, or they're going down this road right now. And how precious the muscle of our brain is, and what we put into it, and how like crucial this is, and how I need people. Like I remember listening to Kiara. I want to call her Sierra.
It's Sierra.
It is Sierra. Yeah.
All right. Well, when she was, I forget where I was going with this.
She was bringing up trauma. I think did it have something to do with trauma? I remember us talking about that.
Yeah, totally off.
It's all right, man.
Whatever.
Got
Come
lost
back.
in the wind.
I was talking to my friend how we like pretty much have Alzheimer's. We were talking about like, we don't remember what we're talking about within like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Literally, like, it's got to like 2 seconds. Like, what are the metals going on in our brain? Is it the weed that's we're smoking? Like, what's going
See,
on?
I think that's when you're riding the wave. I think that's the
when
wave.
you're riding the wave of consciousness.
Yes, because man, I know, like in the. Have you ever felt that the infinite thought bubble where you're like, man, I could come back with anything out of here, and it's like it's almost like free game. But then whoever comes back with it first is the one that kind of calls it almost.
Right.
You know, like that's I see a lot of thought like that, where or I've felt that where you're like just in this infinity of everything, every thought that could happen has happened, and all that kind of shit.
Yeah. That happens in a very deep psychedelic trip for me also. It's like where you know everything you've ever thought. It's like there's a possibility of this. There's for sure a possibility. Not only is there a possibility, but everything that everybody else has said to me is like, whether it's rude or true or whatever, it's like it's a possibility of that. And from both sides, you're getting hit from negative and positive, and based on those things, what's pushing me into the character that I am.
Yes.
So
which side are you leaning most on? Almost?
Right. It's so easy to be evil. It's so easy to just go back within the system and just say, you know what, I could just do this. Why not? Why not make 60,000 or whatever it is? And
it'd be easier.
Yeah,
it'd be totally easier to
Yeah.
slip into that.
Yeah, or even on the bigger scale of things, very very Star Wars-esque, sliding into the dark side.
Yeah.
It's easier. It's easier to let loose with rage that's the
Yes,
going
I
on
remember where I
that
was
Darth
going
Vader
now
tip.
with Sierra.
Yeah.
Sierra mentioned rage, and she's talking about how it's a lower
Yeah.
frequency. And I was like, you know what? Of course it's a lower frequency, but I am like, my essence is not just rage, it's harmony also. So within those two, you definitely, like you said, you keep going back and forth with the balance.
Yeah.
And through rage, you need it to fuel yourself. I am like the ultimate alchemical furnace.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what I
Yes.
became through all
Yes.
all these lessons.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. The trauma, you
that's
turn
why-
into like gold nuggets of
And that's why
knowledge.
the bullshit comes at you too, to try to tip you off your scale. So, because I see that too, man. I see I've heard a lot of people talk about when they get to those levels, just more shit. I mean, even Kanye talks about like the demons that show up if you start shining too bright, right?
Yes.
Like there's things
It's
just
intimidating to other
people will
people,
approach
for sure.
you. Yeah, but even
Yeah.
within that intimidation, it's almost like maybe perhaps the other side sends goons.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
like on the cosmic
Yes.
scale of it, not on the
Like on a spiritual level.
Yes,
yes,
Yeah.
yes, 100%.
like devil's advocate type shit.
Yeah.
Remember when he gets killed in the park by all those the jogger?
I don't remember the movie.
Oh, see,
I saw that on like DirecTV or something.
you
Yeah.
saw it?
Like I don't remember when I saw that movie.
Yeah. See, I have to rewatch a lot of them because they're so. There's a lot of
Things you miss, or
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you're like living in a subconscious state. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
or even just like being too young when I watched it. That was a lot of stuff. Like even I was really young when I watched Matrix, and I got
Right.
it then. But now every time you watch it, there's a new thing you pick up.
For sure.
Oh, there's a new reference here where I go, man, I
Yes.
never understood this.
you
I
don't
never,
you wouldn't think in 98 or 99 when I'm like sitting in my basement with my brother and we're like in our forts or whatever, it's like this movie is going to be a revolutionary movie that's going to change the shape of the way we think of things for generations to come.
Yeah,
based on like this Gnostic belief system, and like how people gravitate towards that when they're creating scripts. And we think automatically, is this CIA related? Because they're so tapped in and they're so tuned in. You're like, how the fuck is this in the movie? Like, how do you know
Right.
this?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like the person's just in tune and needs to put it somewhere. And maybe it does go down a route of people that have to accept it and say, like, you know what, the script's obviously within our agenda. Let's push
we're
this.
allowed to sell
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's like CIA pretending to be, woken up, or like it's a trick, or because it was like a stolen script, like what's been
CIA.
allowed.
Yeah, you ever hear that? You ever hear that The Matrix was a jacked script from a black lady?
Yes, I have heard
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes a lot more sense.
I've
That
heard a
it
lot
was,
of theories about that stuff. It's easy to claim something also like that.
For sure.
Yeah, that's true.
But I just think it's kind of strange. The big, there's a lot of like black references to it too. Like there's the last city with the last real people is Zion. Like there's
it
a
does
lot
have
of
a lot of-
it
does
biblical
have a lot of that.
references as well.
For sure.
And just in those references, it's weird that two dudes wrote it and
That-
then flipped into women.
And the whole story.
Yeah,
they
that's
flipped into a
strange.
trans story as well.
Yeah,
They flipped the
yeah.
entire thing into a transgender story. And I rewatched it with like a mind state of, would a person switch over to the other gender? It's like, of course, just like in video games in Assassin's Creed or whatever, you could switch genders whenever you want. It's like, it's just a flip. It's like, wait, like people are obviously, there is something there. There is a philosophy there where it's like, you could totally just say to yourself, you know what? This is my shell.
Yeah, I feel like,
And that's
see,
it.
but that's where I start. That's where I think it's important too to draw on a bunch of stuff, because when you start bringing into when you pull on the idea of what's it called, reincarnation, that's where I believe like the soul is whatever, that's you, that shit never goes away, right? You can maybe Matrix style, you can maybe tap it back into the source, but ultimately that soul is you, and you play the game a bunch as many times as you want. You're throwing credits into the machine, and you're picking the character. You're Chun-Li this time,
Right.
and play the game as Chun-Li. Get the Chun-Li story.
Yes.
When you're done with the Chun-Li story, play the game
And
again,
then get
drop a
another
quarter.
philosophy
Yeah,
on life
man.
as someone else. That's interesting. I like that take.
I feel like that's what it's
like
more
a Krishna
about.
take on things. If you act like a snake, you'd probably
Yes,
come back
yes,
as a snake.
exactly.
dude. That's the stuff of you are what you eat. You all that
Right.
stuff. If you pig out, like it's all that that train of thought of being really extra cautious on everything we do, because it does start diving into those realms. It's like because they ride the wave of you go one animal, one human, one animal, one human. So you know, and it makes sense. Live a human life. How do you spend it? You know, you do shit majestic. You this. You end up a bald eagle.
Right.
That in itself is a good life. You see the top, you see it all. You know, do it shitty. You know, keep bugging people. Maybe you end up as a bug. You know, it's really on that. Feels that way sometimes. So even in the avatar thing, I would say just play the game as this avatar, this one, and finish the story. I don't think you need to switch it up.
That's a good way.
I think you switch after.
Of telling people with mental health problems to keep going. I think once you start introducing these types of philosophies to people that are going through a lot, it's like, which one fits you, buddy? Like, just because this shoe doesn't fit you, what your parents told you is this shoe, just might not fit you, bro. Maybe you're into Jordans and you're given like some like Shaq or something, or like whatever it may be. Like, no
you
offense
get
to
a
either of those
Skechers
companies
shoe,
or whatever
yeah.
it may be. It's like maybe you're just into something. Maybe you're into unicorn shoes or something. You're not into like your white sneaker, whatever basic thing. It's like you're
Yeah.
obviously like way more flamboyant than an extra person. And you have to showcase that your inside is like bursting as an furnace inside.
Yeah.
It's like it's not even
I feel that way too, man. I feel at some point.
A furnace is a car from GTA. But anyways, yeah.
Furnace?
Yeah.
I feel like you have to, man. I feel like if you treat life as an artist, I think the world is your canvas, right? So I think
Yeah.
that comes down to your look. It comes down to everything. So we should exude that, because everything else, right down to the suit and tie. Not that you shouldn't wear a suit and tie, but everything about it is to like tighten you up, constrain you, make you look like everybody else, make you look uniform. You know, I think that's a shell that we all need to break out of.
I'm starting to see that slowly in our field.
Yeah, I think people are just like dying to be themselves and don't know how to do it. Like, don't know that they can just be who they are. They have to like be like, okay, now I'm this because I have to fit into this group.
Yeah, I know, right?
Where it's like, no,
It's like just because I said that the Earth is flat, are you gonna automatically put like a Cam H and a thing over my head, a Cam H or like whatever
Yeah.
like it may be? It's just automatically put crazy over my
Yeah,
brain,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
like I'm a Sims character. It's like you for now on, you have a soul, and I understood this. I
Yeah.
understood this really early as a kid and stuff. It's like I understand that I'm just the odd man out.
Were
Like-
you brought up religious?
No,
No.
and I was just at the school. I was like, but like they were in a sense of hockey.
Right.
And when I'm
Yes,
not
yes.
part of this, my dad and my mom's like, you know what, we're not paying thousands of dollars to give you your goalie equipment because we know you love to play goalie and stop pucks for some stupid reason. I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm not going to play hockey. I was like, give me a basketball, and the ball started going through the hoop like rapidly. And I'm like, I see. You have to. It's like a level of focus and a fire within you, and
Wow.
and being locked in where you're like. I get why athletes is sports psychology, how seriously Kobe Bryant takes it, every possession, everything he's ever done, and how laser focused he is.
Yeah,
and how
I only
psychotic he
started.
is.
Yeah, I only started grasping that concept recently too, on focus, the importance of focus, like just on some straight up Jedi shit.
Yeah.
Like even with basketball too, if you're able to do it, if you can power the machine correctly, like Boston Dynamics is doing those fucking stupid AI machines and
Right.
stuff, and now they're getting ones that are shooting hoops,
Yes, I see
and
that.
it's just math calculation and all that shit. But I feel like in general, the machine is a cop out. The machine is trying to do something a human can do an infinite amount of times better.
Yeah.
Because I think the human is the perfect machine, but we get away from that, and I'm starting to understand that in athletes now too, that they're on that higher level of
Yeah, we're really not equal. And
No.
It's like I actually thought like when you enter this whole hippie conscious thing, you're like, oh, we're all equal. Everybody's equal. No, have you seen a transgender fight a woman? Have you seen what happens?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, have you seen the sports and these videos have been coming up? And like, I can make a whole series on that, which I'll probably do. But like, it's disturbing. It's like this isn't fair.
You know what it is too, man. It all goes down to marketing. Horrible people. I hope they all rot. It's the way it gets marketed. It's shit. Now I lost the train of thought. I shouldn't have cursed him out.
How it gets marketed.
Yes, but what gets marketed? What were we talking about? One step
robots
before?
and shit, like AI in
No, people.
The transgenders, athletes.
And athletes, the equality. Thank you. The idea of equality gets fucked up because you don't. We're not equal. So to play into this idea that everybody is you're selling someone some bullshit.
Yeah.
And you don't want equality because then you're
it's boring.
It's not even the boring. It's like if you sit there and you're next to somebody in a wheelchair and then the goal is to run and you're like, well, you can't. So if we're not going to sit here, if we can't admit openly, then we can't even help each other. Because I could help this dude if you don't make it some kind of dumb thing of, but we're equal. You go, well, okay, but now how are we going to, there's limitations to all of it. So equality is something that's very tricky because then also how easily it can get misconstrued to go like, oh, you're against equality, you're blank.
Right?
It's the infinite things of
forever.
Right down to who you vote for, where you go again, man, never voted, but you're throwing me in there.
Yeah.
You're lumping me in this
you're
thing
in that category now.
where you go, but you could have got to talking, but we don't talk. That's the real issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so equality is tricky, man. I don't think we're equal. I think there are people better, and there should be people better because then it strives for us to be better too. If everyone was equal, what would we strive for?
Yeah.
What would you go like?
Yeah, that everyone would be the exact same in the sense of
So where's the
creativity.
inspiration?
Yeah.
And that's also scary when it comes to school. It's like you're putting me so far. Like I follow this page. It's called School Kills Artists. And I couldn't agree more as a person that's a college graduate, from an art program. My art program, it was like, whatever. Why would I listen to you? You're like why are you pretending to be a guru or whatever? It's just an artist. It's like, dude, through the course and the things I've been taught, through media psychology, through just the lessons that some of the professors were trying to get across to the students, such as They Live. He introduced They Live and how Obey played from They Live and how Obey is a company based off of just the idea of we're brainwashed. Yeah. And he was trying to have this lesson. No one in the class understood what this guy's saying. And then like 10 years later, I watched this movie again. And I'm like, or like whatever, 5-6 years later, I watched this movie, like the full movie, not just like a scene of what he's trying to explain. And it's like, oh, sure enough, there's something here in college. You're teaching me how to think. You're not giving, like, the tools you gave me were terrible. Like, I don't need to learn these outdated programs and stuff. But the more or less they teach me how to think. So when new software does come out, I'll be able to adapt to it quickly, or I'll be able to, like, you already have your skill sets to, like, a base of how to use this,
or on where to draw from. Yeah. That's So you still did have that. You did have teachers that kind of snuck through the cracks and were able to.
Maybe two. Like a graphic designer that's very passionate. He was just a very passionate rebel.
Good, man.
You could see it through the.
That's good. That gives you hope for schooling in general. Like it is an indoctrination camp, but there are.
If you could find people in all these occupations that people dream of, it's amazing.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Like, if you always think like, oh, if I'm not going to be a rapper, if I'm not going to be this, I'm going to end up as a janitor, but maybe I'll be the most woke, fucking coolest janitor on the planet. Like, maybe I'll be like the most like pimped out dude, and like I could be.
So what would you do?
What
would you do if it all crashed?
If I wasn't even a visual effects artist or like anything to do with.
If visuals stopped,
if my laptop broke or something.
Everyone's laptop all at once.
Man, that's a good question. I'd probably be a busker or something, like, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what
Just
else.
always
Keep it free.
busking is, yeah, that's high level. I took it took a long time for me to come around to it. I always just thought it was weird, but
Same. And then when I
Yeah.
saw like a girl I dated doing it, just walking with my friend and his baby in a stroller, he was laughing at her. I'm like, this guy isn't really a good friend, is he? Like, it's just like I'm starting to see things for what it is. So it's like, oh shit. It's like this girl's living out her dream, and this guy doesn't. Obviously, he's on the other side of the fence. Like I always say, it's like there's only two. Like I honestly think at the end of the day, there's two philosophies on Earth. It's like as much as you want to gravitate to the, like you think you're so original and stuff, there's so many people on the same shelf as you when it comes to that same ideology.
Right.
And when you realize all this, it's like, wait a second, let me try again to pitch this idea to this investor. Let me try to talk to my mom, something like talk sense to my mom or something now. And you realize it's like we all have that same common, like, it's like you believe the exact same ideology as everyone else. It's just put in different words or terminology.
Yes,
And we're just like, oh, like you're looking at it differently. Even when NASA comes up with information, I'm like, I look at that not from a physical aspect. I look at that from like an energy aspect.
Yeah.
How do you mean by that?
Like when they say like we're getting closer to, or like Mars is visible, so maybe Mars, from whatever we've learned from experiences or why we're experiencing this energy wave, backs that up.
Because we're closer to Mars, or we're seeing more of Mars. Yeah. Okay.
But I'm not big on astrology, astronomy, or anything along those lines.
I think I feel like nothing's for nothing, and I feel like the stars are one of the things that have been around forever. Like they've seen the most amount of time than all of us, and I think there's something to it. Especially,
I do as well.
Even on a day-to-day scale, I get it.
What do you think
Do
you think the stars are a map?
I think a few things. I think there's a possibility that they're a map. I definitely think that there's we use it to navigate. A bigger part of me thinks that it's the original television. That's the story. That's the Star Wars, right? That's the stuff you see, the asteroids, and I feel like maybe sometimes it feels like maybe the stars are also the people. So the people that have actually done something, and that's why we call them stars, because they're so, you reached a high enough place where you've marked a place on the map for all of time. Like that's almost how you really would. And that's why I think it's godlike. They got Hercules up there, choking a snake out. Right. I feel like all of that is... I feel like it's there, man. And so on the smallest scale of it, I think we all have a chance to put ourselves on that map.
Like the Hollywood stars.
Looking at it.
Yeah. And so when people come down...
looking at it.
Yeah, so I think when people come down and start giving the scoop, hey, today, if you're in this month, this is what's going on. I think there's a high level of it. I think it helps you navigate through life. Hey, you know what I mean? She's into it. I used to be against it. I started listening to it from a standpoint of words. What is this person trying to say? And then you go, even full moons. You ever get the feeling that full moons really bug people out? You notice just people going wild.
I go to CAMH when I'm on full moon. So on a full blue moon, I went to CAMH for a week. And it was also because I was on an afterglow, but everybody was in there, and they were all spiritual people, and they all had rose quartz bracelets or whatever going on. I knew it was
interesting.
I knew they're all mystic people. I knew like the entire thing instantly. I went in there knowing to fight the system. My higher self was like, "You're going into this place to fight psychiatrists.
Wow.
You're not going in there to per se you have a problem, buddy." It's like, okay, let's go. And then I went, and they looked at me in the face, and they say, okay, your eyes aren't glaring left and right. There's something wrong with you. You look like a serial killer. How come your eyes aren't moving left and right?
Because you're calm. You're collect.
Yes. But you come off as an absolute fucking...
Danger.
Yes.
Wow.
You come off as a cannibal or something. So I'm like, okay, there's nothing I do. So I get locked up. They lock the doors behind me in CAMH, and then I go into my psychosis floor in this room with this other guy, and I'm shaking nonstop on the bed. I'm like...
You're
This
vibing
is-
high.
Yes, so high that I'm like, oh my god, like is this really, like, why did I do this to myself? And people say to me, they're like, how are you so fearless for posting this stuff? I'm like, you should see me in Cam H or on the Psychosis floor if you think I'm fearless.
Do they give you meds? Do they do stuff to
They
you
want to
before?
give you it.
They're trying to.
Yeah.
If you start
you
losing
refuse?
it, do they ever jack you up? That's my biggest
If you refuse
nightmare.
and you're like not calm, they'll put you down and just shoot you with whatever. Yeah, they'll not shoot you with whatever. Like I guess they force it down into your mouth.
But if you're calm and collect, can't touch you.
They don't-
Like they
yeah,
cannot touch you.
They can't. You could reject it fine. Yeah.
That's good to know. That's good.
Wow.
So it's all about keeping your cool, though.
Yes,
you go in
absolutely.
there.
You have to keep
Yeah,
it cool
yeah.
for sure. People that didn't lost their cool lost the game. It was like a game. It seriously was.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah.
a Squid Game or like anything else. It's like you were literally watching people drop and go into their fucking places and getting sedated for the next 48, 24 hours. It's like, oh shit! If I say anything, I speak up or I.
Jeez.
Hey, see, that's a
Scary
world, man.
shit.
Reaction
That's
of
a world,
awareness. Reaction of awareness is very dangerous in this world. Once you start becoming super aware of things, people are gonna look at you like you're crazy, and when you have to.
Yeah, I
have
noticed
to
that.
have a great understanding of
you
that.
can walk down the road with a smile. People will look at you like you're nuts.
Yes.
Yeah.
To play the game, you almost, like you said, you have to be sedated almost. You have to walk the streets, and I'm very aware of that, man. I see
And
the
roll your
the-
eyes when people look at you.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Mhm.
all the
I
above.
see
Seem
the power,
disinterested.
the power and the danger of a smile. You know, where it's like it works. It could change someone's day. You smile on the right person, and then their day shifts. But then likewise, some people, man, they really get bugged about a smile.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
creepy.
like
Yeah.
whatever's making this dude happy, they don't deserve it. And
No,
then
because
they
it's
try
like
to-
it's like look around you, bro. We're in a prison. Just because you
Yeah.
have a park outside and you have all these nice things doesn't mean you're not in prison. I live in a
Right.
basement. Like just because you're going into your mansion or whatever you're doing and you see the illusion of freedom, the illusion of difference, like all these things have been, I guess, major parts of resisting.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a great way to
Yeah.
put it. Any way to fight the machine. Yeah, so I do believe that, man. I think if the moon has that power on us, I think the stars, I think the planetary alignment, I don't know what the fuck any of it is. I don't know. I don't know if it's, I've scratched my head with all of it.
I think you have to be stupid to think that you do.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I think it takes a real,
But what I think they're basically archetypes of personalities. Like they're stories
Yes.
of types of people.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all have
Oh,
traits
yeah.
when we come down. It's like 12
Yeah.
disciples, 12 months. It's all kind of connected in that way.
There's sorry to cut
No,
you
no.
off. Have you ever had the feeling where you feel like there's a finite amount of people? Like you start cycling through people, totally different human, totally different life, upbringing,
Like a soul
but you
regression.
go. Like it'd be like you see this person and you're like, man, this person is exactly like my friend Lou, and then like on
and
par.
other people.
Yeah, in other people. So then when you start talking to enough people, like if you're playing the game and you're interacting with
Oh,
everyone.
that's scary, man. That's scary when you start seeing that there's only like there's all these shells and there's only like
Yes.
5 people in the world.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's scary, man.
Not people, like
Or like
everybody
12
can break
personalities
out
or
of it,
whatever
but
saying,
yeah,
12
it's more
that's scary
that
as hell.
personality and almost like, because even in our we're on the idea you can have these 10 million followers, 2 million followers, but how many people can you really know?
Right.
Like how many people can you really on a day-to-day basis really interact with, really come across? That number dwindles very quickly, and I think when you really start peeling back the layers of that, that's where those things make a lot of sense. Where there is, there's 12 months and 12 different types of personalities, foundations, like
Yeah,
the
foundations is a
foundation
good
to
way
the
to put it.
personality almost.
'Cause-
That's
'cause-
how I.
Because I always wonder, I'm like, okay, so when you become aware that there are these 12 personalities or traits, can you transcend the traits? Can you completely be original? Is that possible? Without kind of being tied to, oh, you're stubborn because you're,
No, like no matter what you do, I hate to say it, but I'm always going to be stuck in this leader role. No matter what I do, I
Right.
don't want to do this. I would rather be smoking reefer by the river the rest of my life. But the fact is, there's something pushing me. There's something always pushing me, and I feel like I'm not able to be friends with people. Yeah, it's very judgmental, but we judge people. Like you said, why do we categorize these people into these 12 archetypes or whatnot? And we say, this is who you are. This is exactly who you are. I've seen you in this person. You are Deadpool. You are this person. You are all these people, but you're that same person. You're wrapped up into that person.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, okay, so we're judging people. And based on like all the people we're judging, it's just that's the conclusion. We only have 12 personalities out of all of this.
No, I mean, I think you can open it up bigger. You can shave it down.
You could
but
change
just
it.
like in that stuff, like let's say, okay, you detach yourself from all ego, right? Then really it's like you're playing in the Christ Buddha mind state.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like even in that, when you start getting on the higher levels, there's still that, like, and then it all boils down to two things, right? It's the good or evil, the
Light or darkness.
yeah, light or darkness, love or hate. Like it really kind of.
Yeah.
But now, you're right. Now we're judging people, and we just
It's not a problem.
Told someone
It's not a problem.
I
Is
guess.
it a problem, like judging
No, I think
someone?
sometimes you have to judge people, man. I think sometimes.
I
think
I was living my
that's-
whole life thinking it's not good to judge people, and then you start realizing you're like, you know what? There's actually people that are this. This is your category. This is where you fit in, and I don't want as badly as like I've lost some of my best friends. I've lost all my high school friends and like elementary, whatever. Like I've lost everybody.
That's a terrible thing.
No, but like through that, you start finding like the people you want closest to you. It's like I see what personality trait you are, and it sucks, dude. It's like I need you to be my Chase B, who's like. Travis has his DJ as Chase B. It's like I need you to be the person next to me at all times. It's like it
Your
sucks
right
that
hand
I'm,
man.
Yes, and it sucks that I'm I'm the Batman. I don't want this. I swear on my life, I don't want this. And my friend and the same guy would say to me, like utter some greatness to me and say like, you know, great people will never like. You can't reject your destiny, like, or you're just a coward in that sense. I'm like, that's like the most profound thing that's ever come out of your mouth. And at the same time, you're like completely being like against everything I've ever made. And I'm like, have you seen any of my videos? Have you seen any of my posts? And he's just like, no. So it's like, how do I get through to my best friend? How do I get through to my family? The whole reason I started this journey of posting like publicly is to get through to my family and stuff. And it's like, wait a second, you're not my family member. Why are you following me? Why are you following me? And the next thing you know, it's like you have all these followers, but in reality, you're like, how come I didn't get through to the person I wanted to get through to?
Yeah.
Because our family, they took us as far as they could, and then you just continued on this other path, and then you create new family, right? And that's the beautiful
soul tribe
part.
stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, soul family, all that kind of stuff. I do believe in that. It's those people you've probably encountered in the game many times before. I've had those. I've had that feeling with people on like if you've ever experienced group trips and stuff. You get that, not with everybody either. It's not like just doing a group trip. Yeah, and it's not like it's a guarantee. But there's some people you come across, man, and it's just like, man, I've done this many times before. You know, the just not on this timeline, time wave, whatever this time around. But I've met this person. We've had this conversation. Not this.
So
we're adding new things.
You do have like deja vu, which is kind of like a soul regression feeling, right?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I was getting at. I felt the exact same feeling on acid. I put my third eye to this girl I did it with, to her third eye, and I saw like the Statue of Liberty, and I'm like, okay, I gotta dig deep, because knowing me, I'm like gonna research shit until like the morning. So I'm like, let's research the Statue of Liberty, and sure enough, it means that enlightening the world. I'm like, why do I put this on myself? Yeah. Why do I continue to dig deeper and deeper and deeper to like try to find meaning in something? It might not even have meaning at all. Like if I talk to my dad about this stuff when I'm going to school and on like my way to high school, I'm like, Dad, what do you think life is? He's like, nothing. You just die and things turn pitch black. I'm like, that's a fair way of thinking of things.
Yeah.
And now I have that on one side of my way of thinking, and you also have like the way of like the stars or the universal of coming back here and doing this again and doing it over again until you get it right or whatnot. Until you
because what else are you gonna do? Like even out there, if you start playing in the void, if you go dip out into the void, what is there to do? Especially when you're dealing with infinity, right? If we're dealing with infinity, you got infinity.
How do you define the void? Like in a mental, spiritual way?
In any way of understanding the nothingness, Not in a good or bad way, just in that way. If you're the Silver Surfer surfing the cosmic waves and just out there, that gets lonely. You know what I mean? Once you've seen it all, you've done it all, you have infinity, it eventually you go, all right, you know what? I'm going to put another quarter in the machine. Maybe that's also why we're so drawn to video games, to arcade machines. There is that feeling of, we're just
doing it again. That's
another credit to the game, you know. And the story builds every time. It's a little different, you know. Like we're approaching the Blade Runner portion of the game, you know. So it's like, so how many more times are you gonna come back?
I talked to people in Newmarket, just north of Newmarket, about that type of stuff, and like the depths of how much information they try to pull from the therapy. Like they do soul therapy and they do it with psychedelic drugs and stuff, and they try to like gain stuff out of you, and like sometimes it's just pulled. It's just like it's completely out of like whatever you thought, and then they start drawing based on that, on just like maybe a subjective trip, and then they define you based on that. And it's really unfair to the person for going through that trip. It's like you just completely just categorize this person's trip and put them into this box. And
so this is like a therapeutic center or something?
Oh. It's like a therapeutic I guess just what a person does, like they pay like
right. And then
charge.
they analyze you and your trip after. That's a trip.
We did
because
that,
it's really for you to analyze, and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just like.
But it's more of like a Western shaman, I guess.
Yes, so we did that. I was going to say that's very relatable. We tried ayahuasca. We did an ayahuasca ceremony a few years back now. And that's exactly how I felt, man. There was a shaman there. They were doing stuff. And there was one dude where you go, man, this dude needs a little bit of extra help. But people just thought he was being too much, a little extra. And you're like, and I felt what he was feeling. Like I know where he was going.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. And nobody was there to help. And it's not like you could help because you weren't the guy. But then the guy was just helping all these other people. And you're like, man,
this guy right here.
This guy, man, he's going through it, and if you could guide him, everyone else will be better in turn. But then he's dealing with the people that are like, but that guy's being too much. And you're like, right there, right man. Now, but
you have a better sense of being a shaman at that given time. Than
I suppose, man. Yeah, it kind of felt that way, but it also ruined my trip in turn, right? Like because I felt uneasy to the whole
become a babysitter almost in that sense, right?
Yeah, I didn't even mind that, but you weren't even allowed to do that because then I'm also in the trip, so I'm like I'm puking and shitting at the same time,
right.
And you're like, and I gotta look out for this dude, but
that's just a bad feeling when you have to like multitask when you're high.
Yeah, when you have actual tasks to do, and you're like, fuck.
But I feel like it's a good test too. It helps. I narrow it down that it makes you keep your shit together, literally. Like, you know.
You ever have like those crazy telepathic experiences?
Many times, man.
Where
yes.
well, through your family, of course, like through your mom or something, or through like a parent or something, that happens. That's like guaranteed. Where it's like, I'll call my mom and she's like, I just was calling you, or it's just phoning. I'm like, why were you phoning me? You haven't called me in like a month. Like, or like, why today? Why the second?
Right.
You know, it's like,
oh yeah, I mean, I chalk that up to that realization of like the real internet, the real text message.
Yes.
You know, like again, getting back to humans are better than machines. And so when you need to get a hold of someone, you do.
So you do, and you enter the state through some psychedelics. And it was weird that LSD was one of those for me. And for me to go back to that pure state and read my girlfriend at the time, her mind. When we were walking down the street, I was like, I could read your mind right now. I could tell you that you think this is a simulation, and I'm telling you right now, it's fine. She's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And she started freaking out at me, like going crazy. She's like, Brandon, like, how the fuck do you know this? And sure enough, they take like 20 steps, and there's a guy holding a cane on a hill. I'm like, I don't know why I'm having this type of trip, and I don't know what this message is, but I'm telling you, like, we're on the right path.
Yes, exactly.
Like, that's one thing's for certain. Like whatever we've done and like all that trauma behind us, we could laugh at now, and it's literally shaped us into this.
Yeah. And that's another reason why, you know, it's it's alive. The universe is alive. Life is alive. Love is alive, because you get this feedback instant, and the more you're aligned, the more instant it is, and
The
so
bigger your vibration is in
Yeah.
your creative field or whatever you're doing.
Yes.
and
yes.
the faster you're pulling shit in that you want, and you can create navigate life better,
And
and
that's why they want to change your vibration. Fuck you up. Shit.
Yeah,
Always.
right from the start.
Yeah. Fuck. We do have to get this thing wrapped up. We're low on battery life and over on time.
this is awesome.
But yeah, I think
Yeah, it's been real.
yeah,
Yeah.
it has been real. That's a
Do
good
it
way to
again.
put it, man. Thank you again for
Thank you
doing
for having
this.
me on here.
Before we split, do you want to plug anything? Do you want to leave people with a message of any kind? Anything?
A shout out or just
Whatever, man,
I don't know.
yeah.
I'm saying.
How do people
what should
reach
I
you?
say? Yeah, just reach me at cosmic.flame on Instagram.
Do you have? Do
And
you do anything else?
check a lot of my posts. I post very frequently, so like scroll through my posts.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Have fun with it.
Because yeah, some of my
Absolutely.
artwork, some of my best artwork is like probably 50 posts down, 200 posts down.
I
Right.
think the people come across it anyways.
Yeah.
I do. I think again that idea that everybody, you're never alone with your thoughts. Kind of, there's somebody that does that because you know that you do that, and therefore somebody else will. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like yeah. Do you have a SoundCloud?
I do have a SoundCloud. What is my SoundCloud right now?
What
I
do
think
you
it's
put music
Cosmic
out
Flame.
on?
They could just search the Astral Project Cosmic Flame on Google, and they could hear my voice through my music. That took probably 11 years to own in on my skills, and 31 years to have like a life experience to create.
Wow, awesome.
Okay, that's a cool way to put
Beautiful.
it. Thank you, man. Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank
doing
you.
this.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing the show. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.